Hello, hello, everyone. Deadly Tarantula Girl coming to you. Tonight, I am super excited. I got a power lady in the house. So it's just she and I. So that's not something I get to do very often. Very, very exciting. So this is the beautiful, the lovely Erica McVeigh. Now, I saw it looks like on Facebook you're using your maiden and your married name, but are you just doing that so people don't lose track of you, or is that your name? I want to get it right.
So my husband is actually staring very hard at me right now.
Is this a hot topic?
This
Okay,
is
I'm
like
sorry.
A point for us. So, I actually use both names. So
Okay.
my thing is that Erica Mead worked very, very hard to get where she is in her life. And she is the one who put herself through school, and she did a lot of amazing things. And Erica Mead has an incredible family. And I also don't have any brothers. That
there we go.
Said, I have nothing wrong or nothing against taking my husband's name. So when I changed my name legally, I actually have it so that it is actually Erica and Mead McVeigh. So I actually had that put in so that is part of my name.
That is awesome. And, we're living in a brave new world. I don't think it's disrespectful at all for a woman to make whatever choice she wants. But it's interesting because you and Ryan are not only marital partners, but you're business partners now. And I would imagine a lot of people know you in the reptile community, and a lot of people know him. So I'm just thinking, like, business strategy wise, no offense, Ryan, but I don't know. I'm one of those loonies that was like, I'm so in love, I can't wait to take your name. But that's just like my personal feelings. Also kind of, this is going to sound terrible, but not that I didn't come from a wonderful family. I was very disconnected from my biological family for several reasons. Due to actually from my and so I didn't have that connection to my last name the way you take pride in your biological family. So that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you guys are still pretty newlywed.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Your internet's cutting in and out, just so a heads up on that one.
Okay, awesome. Can you, so I asked you, you guys are still pretty newlywed. So tell me about married life.
So it has been absolutely fantastic. Our first year of newlywed life, we're like, let's do this for the pandemic. So we ran to Vegas, and we were super excited from the time I said yes to the time I said I do was 41 days. From NRABC literally over to Vegas, which was awesome. We got married by Elvis, actually, which was like,
that's awesome.
The best thing ever. And then we came back, and then like 3 months later went into a pandemic. And then we're like, oh, well, we're going to see how well we can tolerate each other. We're looking at each other always.
Right.
Because we ended up, taking on like co-teaching constantly. And so we're like working from home and co-teaching. And then we're like, hey, let's start a business too, like halfway through this endeavor, because that sounded like a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Why not just set that whole, let's burn the house down. Sounds like a good plan.
It was actually pretty awesome to do. I'm not going to lie, because our theory was, it sucked. Don't get me wrong. There were moments where we're like, okay, I wish this house was bigger. Oh my God. But at the same time, we're like, we high-fived each other constantly. We're like, if we survive this, like, there is nothing that can take us down at this point.
There we go. That is amazing. So, I've met Ryan personally, and we have a bit of a business relationship because Zillow's been one of our sponsors. But I didn't come into contact with you until, you got married to Ryan, basically.
Mhm.
And so, tell us about the story of Erica. Because I know that you're like a heavy hitter. You're not just like the wife of Ryan McVeigh. You're fucking a bomb ass bitch on your own. So I just wow. I want to know everything about you. How much did you weigh when you were born? What's your favorite pastry? Also, how'd you get into reptiles and that too?
I'm like, I don't remember how much I weighed, but I know I wasn't terribly big. I know that I was like, and I know because I'm super tan, everybody knows that. I was like bright white when I was born, and then like I had legit no hair for like the first like 60 months of my life, apparently. So like,
you were a beautiful egg, a beautiful porcelain egg.
Oh yeah. Like legitimately, my mom was taking like duct tape and putting bows on my head so that people knew, like, no, this is a girl. It's okay. Like, wow. So yeah, that's like how I was born. But no, and my favorite pastry is honestly those little croissants that have the chocolate inside them.
So good.
Right? I saw them. What movie is it? It's with like it's got Meryl Streep in it because I love anything with Meryl Streep in it. It has Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin in it, and it was a movie with them in it, and something with Steve Martin, and she was like making pastries, and she was like making some like she got like stoned and was making like midnight pastries with like Steve Martin. I was like, that looks good, and then like after that. Like I thought they were fantastic. So yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna have to do some research on that one and see what those were. You guys in the comment feed, look that up. Tell me what they are, and then we're gonna have a pastry party when we meet.
Yeah, because I love that movie, but I can never remember what it's called, and I probably could Google it. So there's that.
You grew up and stuff like that.
Oh, apparently Ryan said it's called It's Complicated.
Oh, well.
So there's that.
Thank you, sir.
Right? He can Google. And then for getting into reptiles, so everybody always has this like super exciting story about how they were the little kid. This is like Ryan's favorite thing in the world, is how he was the little kid who liked dinosaurs and he wanted to grow up to be the paleontologist and all that crap. And I'm like, oh, like I don't care about dinosaurs. Don't tell anybody. I really could give a rat's ass about dinosaurs. I don't care. And don't tell my nephews because like they love dinosaurs. So.
Oh, your secret's safe with me. I'll never tell a soul.
Right. Oh my God. But like never gave a crap about them. And that's not what drove me into reptiles. Actually, is when I went to the Brookfield Zoo. So I went there with like my dad and my uncle. And we were going to see the wolf exhibit open up. It was when they had just redone the wolf exhibit. Now it's like a teeny tiny thing. And we were going to go see like the wolf exhibit open up. And like everybody was like losing their shit because like the wolves were supposed to come out. They were releasing the wolves into this area, which like I've seen animals released into habitats in the zoos. Like it's not that exciting. Like they usually just like come out and they're just like,
yeah,
like
don't
they
look
don't
at
really
me.
want to deal with it.
Right.
But so everybody was like losing their mind and I didn't care apparently. Like there's pictures and like, the me lore about how I just didn't care at all about the situation because I was engrossed with this pile of garter snakes that was like by this bench because it was like vernaculum. And like it just like they were all just like coming out and like, hey, what's up guys? And like that was what got me into it. And then after that, I wanted to play with all the frogs. I wanted to play with the toads. And like my dad would take me on fishing trips and to like local ponds and stuff like that. And my sister would be like sitting there casting with him and like actually fishing. And I was like, hey, like there's a thing in the water, but look at the turtle that's over there. Ooh, yeah, the frog that's over there. And like that was my jam. So my husband is like fighting with the dog right now because she's like, I want to sit in your lap and I'm only 70 pounds. I don't understand
why. Of course. Yeah, that wouldn't get in the way at all.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not understanding.
I have giant mastiffs that were raised by Chihuahuas, and they have no idea that they're big. Like, no clue.
Kind? What kind of mastiff?
English. I have 2 English mastiffs.
Oh.
Yeah, they're goofballs.
Oh, and then they think they're Chihuahuas on top of it. Like that couldn't.
And then the Chihuahuas are all, I'm the big dude, and yeah, reverse psychology. I don't know.
Well, yeah, they have giant English mastiffs to back them up. I'd be walking.
That's the thing. Like they bark and they're all like, "Motherfucker, I will kill you!" And the big dogs are all, "What?"
Yeah, I'd be walking around too, like I was talking. If I see like a giant English mastiff, I'm like, look.
Yeah, like they're talking about like women who can go running at night because they have a big scary dog. They're calling it like scary dog privilege. That's what my Chihuahuas have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I'm sorry, I have taken more horrifying bites from small dogs than I ever have from big dogs. Actually, my worst bite was from a pig. I will say that. My worst bite legitimately was from a pig.
Yeah. Pigs are, whoo.
Yeah, I got a really bad bite from a pig, and then my worst dog bite was actually like a Jack Russell Chihuahua mix.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to reptiles.
They can be, yeah.
I always loved them. And then I worked at the Grove and then fell in love with like Crocodilians because one of the first ones that I remember taking in, like somebody just dumped it, was an alligator. They're like, hey, here's a lizard. And then they're like, okay, cool. You know, you can bring it in and we can see if we can find some place to put it. And then the lizard was an alligator. So I was like, oh my God, and I love you. And then like after that, I was like done. That was like 17-year-old Erica, and she was just like done forever. She fell in love with Crocodilians after that, hardcore. It was just done.
So what's your favorite species of crocodilian?
Oh, Gargoyles, hands down.
Yep. They're so awesome.
They have a giant boss on their nose. Like, it's called a boss. Come on.
They are awesome. So we have 2 friends that have amazing crocodile zoos. Chris Dieter, for one, he owns Croc Encounter. And then another very crazy man who his place is not open yet. I don't know if they have a name for it. But his place, so Croc Encounter is, where is it located? It's here in Texas, but I'm not sure. It's outside of a city, so I don't know where I'd say it is exactly. But Brooks Place, well, Brooks, yeah, it is Brooks Place, is in Columbus, and it's freaking amazing every time we go there. So they are, I would say 3 to 5 years into their project.
Wow.
And they've sunk, I think, $1.5 million into the park. And it is beautiful. Like acres of like grass and wildlife pens and like tropical foliage, and they have several species of turtles and tortoises and crocs and gators and birds and iguanas, and like all like super rare, like crazy beautiful stuff. They lost one of their biggest crocs in the freeze this year, so that was really devastating. And a couple little guys too, but Texas got hit hard this spring. That was really wild. But I have 2 more Let's crocodiles, and I want more.
I didn't know that. How big? Okay,
they're not very.
I need size.
They're not very big yet. We think it's 2 little boys. We've had one for about 3 years and one for about probably a year and a half, 2 years. And they are, I'm a terrible judge of size. Like, I know how big they are, but to be like, oh, they're this many inches, I would say they're like 18 inches ish, 24 inches. One's a lot brighter and prettier, and one's a lot friendlier, but they still will tear the shit out of you. You have to like be faster than they are, which is super freaking fast.
Yep.
And Yeah, one of them, somebody was keeping it while we were like in transition, and he got a terrible wound. They said that they thought it was like flesh eating, but it looked to me like a burn that like was festering. His whole his flesh was hanging off of his bones, like from the back of his head down past his shoulder.
Oh,
Luckily, we were able to get him all healed. It looks like a strip of rubber on him now. It's wild. And he eats really well. We were afraid when it first started to heal to feed him that it was going to like burst open because it was really bad. But so do you have any types of crocodilians right now? I know you guys are like kind of going like it's like quality over quantity and you're doing like all naturalistic. Tell me what you're working with, and it's in your home, right?
yeah. Although, like, going back to the more or less, because I'm really interested.
Oh, yeah.
On that. Like, sorry, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yes, maybe somebody should bring me one if they're listening.
I know. I was just thinking that. I'm like, hey,
yeah,
sir, where's that?
We could play with some. Yeah, we could play with some crocs.
No, I was actually curious how their temperament was, and like how they're like if you're working with like if they're actually responsive to any kind of the training or anything like with that.
We haven't done a lot of specific target training. Our goal when they were little was just to keep them healthy and feeding. Obviously they're going to get massive, so we're going to want to work with more socialization. We handle them, I wouldn't say regularly, maybe weekly. And so they, in the hopes that they learn the difference between like maintenance handling when you have to kind of like check them over, clean their pond. Of course, if they ever needed veterinary care, now, somebody's going outside to the ponds. All right, we're good. Somebody's going to bring me a croc. So, I can see him from the window. He gets bitten a lot. So let's see what is going to happen here. They're pretty happy. They like to be left alone for the most part. They are highly intelligent. It is very interesting. So the one that is more aggressive will actually hit the top of the okay.
This is how I don't know, folks, that you have a croc mama on a podcast because she's going, woo! And I'm like, oh, yeah. Know what that is. Yeah.
All right. Somebody's coming inside to see you. Let's see. That I think he's bringing Zaid. I named some of my animals, not all of them. I know it's a chick thing.
Dude, I name like all of our stuff, and like it's caused wars in the house. And then things like really dumb things.
If you don't like it, Ryan, suck it.
He literally named something bagel.
Listen.
Oh.
Listen. Do you hear him? Do it again. He still cries. Oh. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know how many inches that is. Okay.
I think that's more than 18.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, calm down. But they just have beautiful eyes. So one has a much nastier temperament than the other one. They are really beautiful. Oh, he's going to get the other little boy. So you can see he's got some good meat on his bones.
Oh, yeah. He's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yep. Oh, poor baby.
No.
Poor baby. Oh, dogs, you don't need to be up here right now.
They're like, oh, but we do. Oh, but we do.
So they have the most beautiful eyes.
Yeah, they do. Oh.
Microphone out of my way. Let's see. Ugh, I hate this like mirror image where you can't tell.
Oh, I know. I'm never entirely sure where I'm looking at things. Oh, perfect.
Beautiful boy.
Oh my God, he's stunning.
I like how when you look down their throats, it looks like a little rubber toy, but it's not.
Oh no, it is definitely not.
They have lots of super sharp teeth. Of course, they have kind of a narrow snout. They are a croc and not a gator. They do have, their back feet are more webbed than their front feet. So let's see. Oh gosh, trying to show you their little toesies.
Oh God, I absolutely love these guys.
Okay.
Anton, grab that.
Careful. All right, here's the littler guy. So this is the little booger that got hurt last year.
Oh,
He's a little darker. Okay. Oh, you're gonna cry too. Oh, that's the other little boy.
hello, Susie. Hello. I know.
Say hi. I'm a nightmare. So bet. You see, he's a little more nervous. He doesn't eat as much.
I can
he's too busy seeing what everybody else is doing. So they both live. I don't know how big their tanks are.
Sorry, you can hear our house guest that came in. We're hosting that student.
Maybe like 100-gallon troughs.
Okay.
They live in like deep troughs with like a mesh. So it's half wood and half screen. That way they've got shade. And then half of it is like a little shelf that they can get out and sun on. And then of course they can swim underneath along the whole thing. So yeah, they're beautiful little boys. We think they're both boys. We'll see when they're a little older.
Oh, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, they are beautiful animals. Oh gosh.
There was actually a great study that was done that was on the cognitive abilities of crocodilians, and I think it was saltwater crocs actually.
Wow.
And it showed that they were responsive to Mozart actually. Like their like level of intelligence actually like lit up, which is pretty cool.
That is amazing. I'm trying to show you his scar. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. So you see, like,
okay.
My finger, you can see it goes from his head down where it looks kind of like wrinkly.
Yeah, it's like right behind the skull, all the way down.
Yeah, it goes from his head. I don't want to let go of his head. All the way down to.
So here. Was it full thickness through to like the osteoderms?
He was, how deep would you say that wound was?
For those of you who don't know what an osteoderm is, those are bony plates that are actually underneath the skin of crocodilians. It's for protection.
Below that. I'm trying to remember if his bones were hanging out. He actually lost that whole area of meat, and it was just keeping him really warm. We were keeping the water chlorinated, and we were just keeping it super fast flowing, and we did not feed him. We fed him like the second and third day, and then it was really weird because it sort of like scabbed over. Oh, hey, John's on here. But it looked really fragile. So then we were just feeding him catfish pellet because he could eat like little tiny bits at a time. And it wasn't ever like he was gorging. Okay. And then they're kind of our garbage disposals when we have stuff that other guys like, we're like, oh, that's kind of yucky. Like, who's going to eat this? Mm-hmm. They like to eat it. And so the one that's fatter, obviously he was getting a lot of stuff. And the other one, I was kind of like babying along. I'm like, we don't want to overfeed him. We really were afraid that that wound was going to reopen. We were really, and then, so there was a time when there was a mouse and he was maybe trying to think. Oh, so this was like last August, maybe, when he came back to us when we got this house. And he was like that. Maybe a month into his recovery, or maybe it wasn't even that long. He healed up pretty fast. There was a mouse or something, and I'm like, I think he can handle it. And we fed it to him, and JD's always nervous. He's like, I don't know. I don't think you should. I don't think you should. And I said, well, we got him healed up from the last wound, and it's a healthy, and he's eating. And I'm afraid he was kept cold before, which the guy was like, oh, I was doing everything perfect. Yeah, well, okay. We have a wound, a flesh wound, like a nasty infected wound here, which You gotta love your friends that are helping you out in a time of need, because I got him back and he's good now. So I'm not trying to throw shade, but anyway, so he got nice and full, and then it was like he just grew after that. And I'm like, yes, let's just start pounding the food. He's ready. And so he's a crazy eater. He can eat like 7 chicks in like 5 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah. And it's funny because so in the winter, of course, they were inside in like 55-gallon aquariums. And anytime you'd walk by, he'd be jumping and grabbing, and he'll hit the glass, which of course I don't like that. But it's like, whoa, his feeding response is intense. I can't imagine if he's still like that when he's huge. We're going to have to keep him very well fed.
Yeah.
And the other guy is just like definitely more chill. Like if like you can tongue feed both of them, but you better watch out, because you never know if they're going to go for the snack or the meal. They might be like, I don't know. But
Oh my God.
they're really fun to interact with. We fed them a lot of catfish pellets and small feeder fish when they were little, and now they eat everything. They eat everything. So they're a lot of fun. I love working with them. I pretty much like all crocodilians. We have 6 acres here, so we have lots of room to build ponds and things like that. Of course, come wintertime, you have to either be able to bring it indoors, or like at Croc Encounters, their farm is hydrated by a natural spring that's warm, because they're so far south. They're like pretty close to the coast, like Corpus Christi area almost. And it's not that warm here, obviously. We just had a blizzard a few months ago. So we're talking about being able to cover their enclosures, or we had a facility in New Mexico. It was a humble one, but a facility nonetheless. We're kind of in limbo trying to decide what we're going to. So we have acre. So we don't know if we want to build a house. We also have 5 acres that we bought behind us. It's stock pins there, and there was water and electricity, but it's like we'd have to like bulldoze it before we could even like lay a foundation for anything. So that would be very tedious. We're also looking to buy the property directly in front of us, which would be awesome because it's technically across the street, but really close to our house. So if we ever did open something to the public, it would be like, that's the zoo. And then like behind this fence and across the street, that's like our home, which, kind of protects our privacy. And I don't know. I mean, it's not like people wouldn't be able to find our house, but again, I have 400 pounds of Mastiff living in my yard. So come in, I dare you.
And, more or less, but
right. Yeah.
Other than that little situation, you don't need to worry about it.
Well, I do have guns and, other things. Yeah.
Well, that too. Well, my little guy who has been so well behaved this whole time, like right this second. Really? I know you don't like the bright light. Is Snowback.
Cute.
Dang, this mirror thingy.
Yes, I know.
So this is Snowback. Returning. There we go. So Snowback is a dwarf African crocodile. And he is our teeny tiny little nugget. I know you don't like the bright lights. There's nothing I can do about it. So you just got to suck it up for a little bit, honey. That's all I got for you. He is not a fan at all of my husband, like at all. Spends most of the time trying to defend his territory and eat him. But absolutely loves and adores me, which has been fantastic. So, yep. But he is absolutely sweet, and he's an incredible animal. We are very, very happy to be working with him. And then we have 2 broad snout two broad snout caimans too as well. And they're absolutely fantastic animals. They are absolute just jerks when it comes to doing any kind of work with them. But he's actually pretty cool because he doesn't have quite the bright color markings that your more or less has.
Yeah.
So these guys are actually not aquatic, like at all. So he's aquatic during. He has little chin markings. So look how cute that is. There's like a little cow on the bottom.
So cute.
But he's not aquatic like during the day, really. Or he's aquatic during the day, but he's not like a swimmer. So he's not going to be swimming around in like the rivers or anything like that. He's going to be like hanging out for a little bit in his little lagoon. And then he spends a lot of time on the land, just like traipsing around. So
that's cool.
Hey, honey, do you want to take him? Or Emily, do you want to take him? Never mind.
I'm listening carefully. So tell me about their care. And how big are your broad snouts?
Our broad snouts are, a little bit, they're about 2 feet. They are awesome animals. So those guys are interesting. So we went from the like least aquatic species that you can possibly get because more or less, I'm like giggling. Because dwarf crocs are like, nope, don't want to deal with it. Like these guys are like, hey, we'll climb small trees and like we'll walk all over the savannas, and then they go back to the lagoon because it's hot in Africa.
Yeah,
they go back to their lagoon during the day, and that's what they do. And then, but they're mollusk eaters. That's what they like. They like to eat mollusks. They like to eat like crustaceans. They'll obviously eat small mammals if they can, but they'll also eat like a lot of frogs and a lot of other reptiles and stuff like that. They're not big on mammal prey, actually. They're a lot of invertebrates and things like that, which is really cool for these guys. And that's what they have. The broad snout caimans are the exact same way, but they're on the other side. So they're super highly aquatic, and they're probably like as aquatic, if not, they're just under like gharials for their aquatic situation, which is actually pretty cool. So like gharials are obviously like super aquatic because they're literally like little, with like tiny little legs,
Yeah,
like,
they barely even get out of the water.
Right. And then you have like these guys, and they eat like mollusks and crustaceans too. So we got everything that likes to eat mollusks and crustaceans and, just little fishies and things like that. But they get these broad, big heads so that they can crush down the mollusk, which is super cool. But they also kind of get like this weird bulldoggy, like pug look. So sometimes they're like super, super cute, like a pug. And then sometimes you're like, oh dear God, like you got hit with a baseball bat. So we're not sure which way to go.
I'm dying to know what you feed them. How do you mimic their diet?
Thank God we live next to an H Mart. And if anybody doesn't know what an H Mart is, that is a wonderful, it's an Asian market that is right by our house. And that is a wonderful place to get things like shrimp and soft shell crabs and like mollusks. You can get like clams and stuff like that all the time. And then we have a wonderful like international store that has always like a fresh butcher there. And so we'll get things like salmon bellies or like fish heads, things like that. And then just like that into there.
Yeah. And obviously you just feed it to them raw. Do you ever have to supplement their diet? I would imagine not with that amazing fresh variety.
Well, funny you should mention that. We do put UVB on all of our crocodilians.
Tell us about that.
No. So
I actually heard you have some kind of like company started. I don't know, maybe called VivTech.
I don't know. It's like some crap like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
So actually, we do utilize UVB on our crocodilians because even though they can synthesize, in theory, D3, because they're predators, we still supplement it because they're not getting it from the sun. And to be honest, I think they would probably be getting most of it from the sun, to be completely honest, if we're really going there. Anyway, so we actually supplement it with UVB. And then we make sure to supplement it with something awesome like our Sure Sunline, which is the wrong direction. Freaking mirroring. If anybody has tried to do this on mirroring, you will understand how hard this is.
Yeah.
So our Sure Sun, damn it.
Especially when you're holding an angry crocodile.
Right. So our Sure Some bulbs are actually really cool. They're a LED bulb. So they take 3 watts. And what's really cool about these is that they're a screw-in bulb. So you don't have to really worry about it. It's just a simple screw-in bulb. It's
nice.
This way. It's 3 watts. It's a screw-in bulb. And each one of these things right in here is actually a diode. So the 3 that are the same color that are going this way.
Yeah, like the gold ones.
Mm-hmm. So those are the UVB ones. Those are the ones that actually are calibrated to emit UVB. The one that's right on top is for UVA, and then the one underneath that is actually for plants. So,
holy moly.
Yeah, we created them with the manufacturer. So the manufacturer worked with us on the specifications that we wanted to make sure that all of the UVB, the UVA, and that was going to be usable for reptiles and was going to fit into a actual specific area that we needed. So we have 3 different types. We have like the midday blaze for your animals that are like out basking in like direct sun. So beardies when they're out, like out there. Your collared lizards, believe it or not. Nobody thinks you're collared lizards. Your poor collared lizards. Your cyclora, who are out on the Caribbean, and right, they're like just sitting there soaking up sun. And even though they're not in a traditional desert, that's a freaking desert, folks. Like, it's not a traditional desert, but like Illinois is considered a corn desert because you have nothing except for corn.
They're getting some rays out there for sure.
Right? There's no other plants. There's no water around. The Caribbean's the same way. You have white beach, but there's no like food really on that side. And a lot of times there's no like fresh water. So they spend a lot of time in kind of like a desert situation with a lot of refractive UV lighting too. So what would be considered like the desert lighting is what we would call the midday blaze. And so it's a higher level. And that's why we put the cyclora into there, because they would be getting that like super high amount. It's not just like Sahara.
Quick question. I've had a problem in the past with people saying, oh, I have a green iguana and a Petco told me this light and it's just not working. And then when I find out about their enclosure and everything, I realize that their animal's far too away. They're too far away from the light. So tell us a little bit about your strategy here. How is your product? I guess I should have let you say the 3 kinds first.
Fine.
Let's do that. I'm just excited.
You're totally fine because, like, honestly, totally fine whichever way you want to go. I'm like super highly caffeinated. I'm good here.
Awesome.
But the other ones that we have are jungle cover, which is for like our temperate species or anything that's under filtered sunlight. So that's anything that's not in your direct sunlight. So anything like in the savannah, in forested areas, that lives in like bushes, brush, that kind of thing. We were going to call it something like sexy, like forest floor or like something like that. But when we talk to our friends to like kind of run it past them, they're like, so like isopods? And we're like, okay, that doesn't work. We decided against that one. So it's jungle cover. And then we also have First Call. And First Call is probably my favorite. So how many times, my dear, have you encountered somebody saying, well, my animal's nocturnal and doesn't need UVB? That is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. And I keep saying like, oh my God, you said the N word. And then people will freak the crap out because they're like, oh my God, I said like the N word. And I'm like, yeah, you said nocturnal. They're like, but it is. It truly, it's a dirty word. It is. Because nothing's truly nocturnal in the reptile world or in the amphibian world. Everything is crepuscular. So they're like up from like dusk to dawn. Think of Selma Hayek in the movie Dusk to Dawn. If she would be active, that is when your animal would be active. From like right after sunset to right, when the sun's coming up. That's when your animal's going to be active. They're getting UVB. They're not necessarily going to get the heat, like intense heat from the day at that point, but they're absolutely going to benefit from the UV rays that are starting to come up And they're also going to, regardless of the time of day, have the refraction of that UV lighting just bouncing off of other things.
Right.
So it's not as intense, but to combat the fact that the UVB is not going to be as intense, we did put in more UVA and more not photosensitive bulbs, but plant sensitive bulbs. So the plants can photosynthesize a little bit easier. So we made it so that, like, if you put into your dendrobates enclosure, like, you can grow some really hella nice frog enclosures, like make a jungle, or your anoles. Make a jungle for your anoles, people. Make it glorious. Like, it should look like a little tiny piece of the world, and it should be amazing. As for, like, how are we combating the, hey, your little baby iguana that you got needs to be like this close to the light, and you have it like this close to the light. We came out with our UV reader. So
Yay!
we love Solar Sun, and actually Solar Meter is we love Solar Meter. That's actually what we tested our bulbs against, because that is the industry standard currently. We used Solar Meter when we were testing because that's what most people are going to have at home to test the bulbs against. And we wanted to know exactly what was going to be available and what they're going to see, obviously, when they're testing.
Right.
But we also wanted to offer an option that was going to be easier on the wallet, if you will, because Solar Meter, as wonderful as they are, it's very, very, very pricey. Even on Amazon, it's very, very pricey. And so ours is not going to be anywhere near as pricey, and they come calibrated. So we're already making sure that the things are lining up. And every single bulb is tested. Every UV meter is tested before we're, distributing them, because we want to make sure everything is actually syncing up. This way, you guys can actually, like, take it, test your basking site. Don't just test randomly in the cage. Go to where you want your animal to bask and put it there. Put the little sensor right at it and hold it and see what the reading is. And that's also how you should be really honestly looking for the heat signature too, because like, that's how they're going to find their basking site. Like the parietal eye, they utilize that in order to find their basking site. They actually utilize UV lighting, actually UVA lighting, to find their basking sites. So it's incredibly important to put those together. I'm so sorry you can only just hear my dog barking. I'm not sure why.
We're animal people, so it's no big deal. Come on, Ryan. You're supposed to be supporting your lady here.
On this computer, he's like, I'm like,
maybe he's listening intently to the interview because you're so exhilarating.
He was on somebody else's YouTube.
Cheater. So, okay, this sounds like the greatest product ever. So I have to ask you what kind of price point we're looking at here, because most of us snake lovers are on a budget. Not to be tacky.
Oh, no, it is not tacky at all. So we are all very well aware that UVB bulbs are probably one of the more expensive of the husbandry acquisitions that you can make. That's disposable.
Right.
So when you're looking at the pieces, like, that's one of the more pricey ones. And most of them, unfortunately, tend to last about 6 to 12 months. And then people are like, eat it and then get something else. Our bulbs, we are putting a 2-year guarantee on them. I'm not making you suffer through this. I'm building it up. We're putting a 2-year guarantee on these suckers. The 2-year manufacturer's guarantee. And we'll replace that bulb. And we'll honor it.
Wow.
And so it's a 2-year guarantee. Your UVB is probably going to last about pretty damn close to 4 years. And by pretty damn close to 4 years, we mean actually so far it looks like it's actually extending past 4 years, but we're comfortable saying 4. 3.5 to 4 we're comfortable with saying. But it looks like it's already going to extend past that. but at some point we're just going to cut off the testing.
So is there a way without getting too technical so is this like a new freaking scientific innovation? That's what it's sounding like to me.
So it is, but it isn't. So LED diodes have been around for a very, very long time. And there have been a couple of people already who have been on like our Facebook page and have been like, hey, like this isn't new technology. Like what makes you any different? Or, you know, like ZoomEdge just came out with something too. And ZoomEdge is different than ours actually, but that's okay. Like we're okay with that completely, to be honest.
Right.
And because it's actually a different niche and it's a different layout and everything, we're like, cool. And they're like, cool. And we just like high five and there you go.
That's awesome.
Right? Like that's all you can do in the world. It just happened to be at the same time. But the LED technology, because it was so new, was just so expensive.
Right.
And it's been something that, you know, Ryan has been really passionate about bringing into the reptile industry for a really long time and waiting for that price point to just drop to a point that we could actually utilize it. But the problem was that like the price point started to drop to a point where we're like, okay, we could actually do something with this. And then we got to the point where like we got that price point, but then the product sucked. And we're like, well, what the crap? Because like there was no control. There's like no quality control. And then you had to wait for that to get dialed back in. So it was that it's not like a brand new technology, but it's a new technology in the sense that it's new to the reptile world because it never had to be dialed in for the reptile world. And it never had to be utilized for the specifications that reptiles need. And now we have a manufacturer that's willing to work with us and takes our feedback and takes all of our, you know, criticisms. And
a company that listens to reptile breeders.
Oh yeah. And they even like, they're like, we have, you know, these upgrades that we want to try with you. Do you want to try these next upgrades with us? Cool. So send us the next one so that we already have things coming into the pipeline for different products that we want to try. We have another one that's going to drop that you're going to be the only one that gets to hear this. So
yeah,
we have a really big like zoo enclosure. So if you have like a really tall, like those people who have like the shower like the shower stall type enclosure for like their iguanas.
Yeah.
We have a zoo style one that's coming out that's going to have that deep penetration of UVB so that you can have that and not have to like put a UV light here, a UV light here,
Girl.
or God forbid, like a mercury vapor, and then you're terrified that the animal's either going to touch it and burn itself, or you're going to cause a fireball. Like
you're heating me up over here. I'm not even kidding.
And all this for this one and this one. So our jungle cover and our midday blaze. Damn it, this mirroring. Oh, $89.99. Even though our friends over at ZoomEdge did come out with technology and then they came out with the price point, we went, oh, like, that's a hell of a price point. We're like, all right. We went, no, like, we decided to stick to our guns on it. And we kept our pricing where it was. And so we decided to keep it at $89.99, which is actually... And that's actually a little bit less than originally what we were going to do because we wanted to make sure that we made this as available as possible to as many people in the hobby as we could. So it's not necessarily for like Susie and her dad when they first go in. But it is
more for the specialized keepers that are a little more in tune.
Yes, but it is for like Susie and her dad once they have really built up a couple of enclosures and they've developed a passion. Maybe they got like their first gastrophilus, or maybe they still have like that leopard gecko that they absolutely fell in love with, but it's in like this out like enclosure that looks like the perfect habitat. And now we're like, okay, this is your next step. Like, there you go. You want the next step? This is it. And it's, you know, a 4-year investment. Like, we're giving you 4 years that literally comes out to like nothing if you think about it.
Exactly.
So
well,
like,
and even
yeah,
if you think about how many bulbs that you would potentially purchase, not to mention just like the stress and concern of like, oh, how long's it been? Like, I need to check that stuff. Just like being able to set it and forget it, that peace of mind is, and also too, your product is superior. Like, let's just like real talk.
oh yeah, it doesn't suck. And the best part is part of that $89.99, because some people, yeah, we have gotten comments of like, oh, that's really expensive for a bulb. I'm like, really? Have you been to a pet store? Do you know what you're paying? But like part of that $89.99, which by the way is not markup to a pet store or anything, that's just literally what you're paying from us, because you can't get at a pet store. That $89.99, 10% of that is going to being split up. So 5% of it goes to USARK Florida, and then 5% of it goes to conservation. And that is off of the sale of every item. It's
Holy
not
moly.
like, yeah, it's not like a cumulative thing. It is every item. So we really did put our money where our mouth is on that one. And we wanted to make sure that we're really doing the work. And then we made sure that, like, for instance, the person that's doing our web work, instead of just hiring her and then being like, here's a base contract and here's base pay and then that's it, we're like, well, screw it. You'll make more if you do it per sale. And so every time she makes a sale with us, she makes X% with us.
Wow.
And she's like, she came back to us, she's like, it's cheaper just to do this. And we're like, yes, but you're a woman-owned business. We want you to do this because we're supporting woman-owned businesses. The person who makes our propagation stations,
ooh,
which you get if you come to, Schaumburg or any of our shows and buy
nice,
is actually made by another woman-owned business, Maz's Designs. So
should we do some name dropping here? Okay, so who's your web designer, if you don't mind sharing?
Justine Labello.
And then who was that does your propagation stations?
So that is Maz's Designs.
Very cool. That is beautiful.
Yep. I am big on woman-owned businesses and very big on like, name dropping whatever we can. Like, hey.
Yeah, definitely. Well, honestly, like I truly am honored to just be like vibing with you here tonight. Just, I don't know, I'm just loving it. There's a lot of times when I'm like super tired and I'm like, oh, we have an interview and I'm not excited about it. Of course, I get excited because we pretty much only interview great people. So then I like get all energized. But for you, I was like, yes, it's Erica night. And then it was so funny because I was like, wait a minute, didn't they say they wanted to do it before after Schaumburg? So then today I was like, this Wednesday? And Ryan was like, she just asked me that. So that's my dude voice.
He sounds just like that.
I know. But I was like, oh, is it next week? Like, no, I want to hang with her tonight. Because I've never even gotten to meet you.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's the best part. Like, he showed me pictures of you before because he's like, hey, I met her, or hey, I got to see like her at like blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't know who this is yet. I still haven't met her. Like, I know her through Facebook. I've seen her Instagram. I've seen her YouTube. Like, that's all. Like, that's all.
She's the stranger. Yeah.
I'm like, that's all I know about her. It's like everybody's just like, oh my God, she's so cool. I'm like, yep.
You're like, I don't believe it yet.
No, I like totally believe it. Like, if that made you person, like, you're a badass, I'm willing to believe you're an absolute badass. Especially if Ryan's like dropping everything he has to like go and do like an interview or something with you. Like, I absolutely believe that you're a badass. Yeah.
Awesome. So, thank you
like,
so much.
Was totally sold on that. But no, he is awful at scheduling. He's like, I scheduled you for a podcast. I'm like, oh, when? He's like, Thursday. I'm like, oh, okay. And then today's Wednesday. And I'm like, it's today? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, like, you are not a good secretary.
Yeah. Just keep being pretty, Ryan.
Yep. And bring the ice cream sundaes.
Yeah. Bring 2.
She would like one too.
Yes, please.
Yeah, get her address and you can DoorDash her some.
Yeah.
DoorDash one.
We're so in the boonies. There's no DoorDash here.
And Crocs might eat the DoorDasher.
Yeah, they might.
Or the Chihuahuas.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which is scarier, to be honest. No, that's been one of our big ones is trying to figure out how best to bring things into the hobby that are actually going to help. So Ryan, when we started this company, is really big into the problem solving. And he thinks like such a dude and such an engineer. And it's painful sometimes. We're just like,
he's a logic thinker.
Very much so. Where it is, this is the problem, this is the solution. And I am very much on the side of this is the problem. Why was it the problem in the first place? And how do I prevent this problem?
You're the critical thinker.
Yes. So he is like, big picture, there we go, it's done. And I will be a smaller picture. And like, it works great when we're together on something.
Right.
But like, we do need each other to balance it out. But that's why this is working. So one of the things for the UV reader is there's going to be a log on the inside of the UV boxes that has this is how you work a UV reader, because nobody knows how to work a UV reader because nobody's ever said anything because there's a shit keeping about it. But there's also going to be a log in there that says like, hey, what bulb are you using? What manufacturer is it, so that you can keep track of it yourself? And then what the date is, what the measurement is, and then you know when to change it out, because you've changed it out.
Right.
Once you're down to 70% of the original output, you change it out. Not 6 months, not 12 months. Everyone listen, it is not a month thing. It is when it hits 70%. That could be 2 months. That could be 19 months. Nobody knows unless you measure it. And that's what pisses me off, dude. Can I just say that? Can I be honest with that? Like, that pisses me off to like no end. Is companies honestly think that people are so dumb that you can't use like a UV reader to like judge for yourself,
measure your own,
and that you should just just toss it out at 6 months. You know how much waste we're putting into a landfill that way?
Right.
It's incredible. Oh, yes, Mo.
Is it ice cream sundae time?
Oh, honey. She said so. You can't say no to her.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
I don't know if you can see the chat. There's so somebody said they're like, hey, Erica, I have a question. And I was like, yeah, just drop your question and I will let her know what you're asking.
I know. I saw the chat and I was like, yes. And I'm like, I paused. Like, hello. But one of the things that I'm super excited about is these. So our snake bags. So our snake bags are our snake bags are super exciting because they're actually a high quality snake bag. So it's not like these it's not these crappy snake bags that you get, which apparently, according to Ryan, some people send animals in dirty socks. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, I've seen, snakes come in all kinds of stuff.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Yeah, you're lucky if the pillowcase was washed. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Get some extra critters in there.
Oh, sweet Jesus. No.
Like your ex from college.
Just no. Oh, God. No, now I'm like nauseous. Anyway, so oh, God. Like, we might need to put like Venomous like embedded into these things. Like, so we got these snake bags, and then we have them custom done. So you can actually get them custom done with like your own logo if you wanted.
Ooh.
But otherwise you can get like just really nice shipping snake bags. And these were like generation 2 because they're really nice drawstrings. And then you actually can have, instead of just like tying them or zip tying them, because nobody actually zip ties them because nobody likes using zip ties. And I understand why. We have these awesome things.
Ooh. Is that Velcro?
It is.
Wow.
And that's how you secure your snake bag.
Okay, I've never seen that before, and I've never thought of that before. And I use Velcro. I'm a lady and a teacher.
Yep. And those things are the bomb. And it's like just that nice extra like level of security, because nobody wants to like get into their car and that like after a show and then be like, oh, there's that animal now in my hearing column. Crap.
It's really funny because I mean, I've seen people open boxes where like a gator's out or a cobra, and that's a problem, you know? And so that's a pretty good innovation.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of cobras, so that is generation 2.
Ooh.
Or because this is generation this way. Damn it. Because this is generation 2, and we're already on generation 3, which generation 3 is like the bomb. And I don't have the sample anymore because we actually sent the sample over to Justine to take better pictures. The sample 3 actually has a hook right here so that you can like actually move it with a snake hook. You can
wow.
While you're waiting to put the animal into like the quarantine rack and things. It has like nice like paracord to close it so that it doesn't.
Wow.
And then it also comes with the, you know, Velcro. Super awesome. These ones we are giving away actually at our show at Zillow. So this is going to be our good giveaway bag.
So that's this weekend, right? Yep. Well, it's I mean,
Tinley.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's the new Tinley.
Yes. So this is going to be our giveaway because we're like, you know what? We're just going to give them away because we don't believe in selling products that don't meet our specifications. And originally this did, until we're like, you know what? There has to be a better way to do this. And then we found it, and now we can't justify selling it. So they're going.
Well,
and
you know,
we're giving them away to people. They're still great. They're just not what we want. So
I wanted to go to Schaumburg, but I'm giving to the world by teaching summer school. So I think you should just send me some.
I will send you some.
Okay.
I will send you some. And then the best part, and what I'm super excited about, is these little labels, right?
Wow.
So they are, you stick them on and you put on there the species, the animal info, like the morph, the breeder, or you can get them custom made if you want.
Right.
The sex of the animal, like the hatch date, any of the information that you want on there. And this is like the 19th time that we've peeled this off. It comes off. It goes back on.
What?
You can stick it onto an enclosure. You can, like for quarantine, you can stick it into your records to keep track of things. It is pee resistant. It is scratch resistant. And it's UV
pee resistant.
Legit. I actually stuck these on the back of my
I was going to say, how did you test that? Seriously?
Well, not that part. But I stuck them on the back of the twins. Like, I'm like, okay, have a great day, guys. Like, stuck them on the back of the twins, sent them out for the day. And then they just went and played all day. And they, like, hopped in the pool. They were sweaty. They were gross. They, like, roll in the dirt. And, like, how they roll in the dirt? No, like, legitimately, they roll in the dirt.
Yeah.
And they're just gross that way. And these things did not come off the bags. They did, or the kids. So they're not going to come off the bags. They did not like peel off with water. So they're not going to come off with like animal pee. Like they were super hardcore with it. And again, this is the 19th time, and you know, I can still peel it. I can still put it back on, and it sits flat. Well, that's the 20th time now, but it's flat. And all you need to do is write with Sharpie. And that way you don't have to mar your bag. You don't have to cross it out like, hey, is that a Crocodilus? I don't know. Is that the Crocodilus?
Seriously.
I don't know. We'll find out when we open it up.
Yeah, I've done that because, okay, so like we take snakes to a show to sell, and then we buy snakes. So we're like, oh, we've got bags. It's cool. We'll just cross it out. And then we're like, oh, this kind of looks like I'm not sure.
Yep.
Been
And
there.
that is probably like the absolute worst is when you're just like, I don't know. One of these things is really going to mess my day up when I open it. And one of these things, like, not that big a deal. So, you know, we did that. And then one of the ones that is, that we're super excited about is the Venomous snake bag collection. It's bright red. So it's going to be a bright color. And it's actually going to say Venomous across it so that it's designated that way. And these are going to be bags that are actually designated for Venomous only. And then those are the bags. Yep. So that is something that.
Do you have any that you can show us, or are they not ready yet?
We're not showing them yet. We're going to hold off on that one because of the printing. The printing didn't come out completely right. So we're waiting. If we're going to put it out there, we want it to look good. But that is something that we're very, very excited about releasing out because like they're not something that like I would carry like next to your leg or anything like that. You should never carry any snake bag next to your leg.
Yeah.
But that's going to be something that we're going to be very, very excited about launching. Oh, Billy, you're so sweet.
I know. Love that guy.
Slave labor. You know, he comes over and has been helping put stickers on things, and
that's awesome. Well, I'm just thinking about like, so we're that like the sheriff, we live in a very small town. The sheriff's department calls us for venomous snake removal. And so that would be amazing to have those red bags with us there on site where everybody knows exactly what's in there. Cause we have like locking buckets, but you know, I may not have time to grab a 5-gallon bucket and drag it with me if I'm by myself. I might just have a hook and a bag starting off with. Or of course I'd want to bag it and put it in the, just wow. I mean, that's just like a crazy whole nother level of security. That's awesome. And of course, if you're shipping stuff, that's super important. Okay. So like you have the people that order the snake, and then a lot of times you have other employees or just whatever. What if your mom's visiting and she's like, oh, box. I guess I have a mom voice too.
I love your mom voice though.
Thanks. I don't have a mom, so that was just my best guess. Yeah.
But that was something that was actually inspired by just watching because our friends Pia and Cody, they do like some amazing work with Venomous and like just watching them. And I've heard her talk about like different things that they've like done with Venomous and like, you know, different struggles they've had with it. And then I've heard, you know, different struggles that, you know, like Mickey Myers has had when he's talked about it. And like he's on a different aspect of keeping because he's not doing it professionally necessarily with the Venomous. And so like he'll talk about it and it's a different type of like struggle, but it all kind of comes back down to the same thing of like really that security and always identifying and like that fear of like having a way to like secure things. Right. And I'm like, this is a great way to do that. And then actually, I think you know her, Jill Riles from Arizona. Yeah, she posted something about, I think it was like one of the Crocodiles out in like a spot that she was visiting all the time. And and she does the rattlesnake removal all the time, like you do. And I was like, right. Oh my God. I'm like, when she has to remove things, I'm like, what the hell does she put things in? I'm like, she thinks, and like I saw, it was like a bucket. I'm like, that's dumb. I'm like, what if she has to like, you know, move things or it's like a hot day and like, you know, like Arizona has to suck. I'm like, well, what about people in Texas? I'm like, that's really got to suck out there.
Yeah. So, well, And like when we're out, I carry a pack
Mhm.
and with like a collapsible hook and my venom lock. And, so if I could have a couple bags in there, and then of course you have your bucket in the car,
Yep.
you're not going to carry several 5-gallon buckets around with you. And when I'm doing removal, I want to get there and get the animal removed before, I hate to say it, before a person gets hurt, but before the animal gets hurt or moves a little bit and winds up in another area. We're in Texas, people shoot snakes, people chop their heads off, people, and I get it. Well, maybe I do judge them a little, but I understand if people are concerned because animals, it's like, oh, check out this crazy. You just chopped off the head of a bull and it was. I don't believe you, but I'm glad that you're safe now, or not really at all. But having those bags would be a game changer. It would be really awesome. So I didn't even know anything about that part of the business. That's amazing. I want to see them as soon as I can see them. I want to see them.
Oh yeah. And then the other bags, the non-venomous version of because just think about it. Like when you're walking back from the field to the car, you can just put your snake hook through that loop and then carry it. Super easy. Might give your arm one hell of a workout, but super easy.
Well.
But like one of the things that Ryan's super excited about with the other bags is the ability to like change how we ship some of our snakes so that they're not being like crushed and stuff, So like he's really excited to release a video about that, like on our VivTech site. Like, hey, this is like another way that you can ship snakes that's safer and stuff like that.
Right. By like having them suspended rather than piled on top of each other. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
I've literally gotten a box with 50 retics piled on top of each other before, and they were okay. But I was like, oh my, get them out. Like I'm afraid for those babies on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
And they were okay. But I would imagine there's been times when they weren't.
Oh, yeah. No, and I bet you anything, those ones on the bottom are undergoing stress. They're undergoing, like, they've been, slowly, like, they've been becoming hypoxic. Like, they're just not getting enough oxygen in. They're probably being exposed to a lot of ammonia, too, on top of it. Like,
yeah. And, like, some of them didn't do well after that. That might have been those bottom guys.
Honestly, probably, because you got to figure, like, where their head is, that might be okay, but, like, you got a lot of internal squishy parts, especially on babies. Like, they're not going to do super good with your squishy parts being squished.
Right.
So we can't do much for that, but we can make it so that, the other parts don't suck. So, like, when you send 50 retics, like, don't suck. Hang them so that, like, you don't have that problem anymore. Like,
yeah.
So those are like some of the big things for us, but really getting the UVA out into the world and like helping keepers understand that like UVA is going to be a big game changer for them. It's not talked about enough. One of the big complaints that like Ryan, oh my God, I remember when he read this article, he actually threw the magazine across his office when he was still in the office. He legit threw it across the office and then called me yelling. And I was like, oh my God, calm down. Like, I felt like the world came to an end. And it was over a freaking article that was written because somebody wrote an article about how UVA is just a marketing gimmick. And it's not true. Like, UVA is like antidepressants for your reptiles, basically.
Without
it, you're SOL. You can't. They need it for their feeding response. They need it for their reproduction. They need it for like their serotonin and other hormones. Like their whole endocrine system basically relies on UVA. And then they need it for like basking and stuff. And then on top of it, half of the stuff that they see in this world is literally altered by UV lighting. We can't see UV lighting. We can only see the visible light spectrum. We can see a very select part of the visible light spectrum. They can legit see UV. When we take away their ability, like take away UV and just like don't offer it, great. But now they don't see their world. So
Right.
like the best equivalent is we're making them colorblind almost. So
Mhm.
what it might look, so some of the animals that aren't breeding well, such as like maybe like Bolin's pythons, for instance, like you might be like a male and a female might not recognize each other until maybe we put UVA on them. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden that like female is just like, sup, I'm gorgeous. And the boy's like, hey, baby. Like maybe that's the difference. Who the hell?
Right.
Nobody's tried it. Because
Well, and
except
there's
for
so
Ari.
many
I think Ari's trying it. But still, like
there are so many species in the hobby that even if we're able to keep them alive now, they're not thriving in most people's care. And that could very much be the magic bullet. And I personally really love naturalistic enclosures. I know, okay, and I'm not trying to anthropomorphize, but if you just think about, okay, the school I one small window, I have water, it's clean, it's safe, it's fine. But at lunchtime, I'm like, because that's a part of my well-being. And obviously it's true. It's been proven to be true. And so I'm not saying like, oh, because I need it, the animals need it, because that's silly. But I'm just saying, as an animal myself, there are effects that UVA have on your body that really can't even be haven't been explained scientifically yet. And a lot of them that have. So to think that animals absolutely don't need UVA. Now, I think the truth is people didn't know how to easily and affordably deal with the problem. So they're like, yeah, they don't need it. I mean, they don't die, so they don't need it. But things could always be better.
mm-hmm. And that is exactly it. I think I keep saying, you can't expect keepers to change their like enclosures and stuff like that unless you give them the products to do so. And it is up to us to give them the products to do so. And one of the things is we're always expecting somebody to do it. And we're not saying like, this is your time, go forth and do it. Like you want to go for it. Like, dudes, we're happy to help you do it. We love competition. We thrive on competition. God knows Ryan thrives on competition and challenges. You want to challenge him, keep him motivated. I appreciate it. Somebody challenge him to give me that ice cream sundae. Just saying.
Come on, McVeigh, you can do it. You can bring the best ice cream sundae that there is.
Give you my account.
Hey, she already knows that you were cheating and not watching her YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it before.
You were watching somebody else's YouTube. She knows.
Nah, she knows I'm a slut.
Mm-hmm. So
he was multitasking, right?
Anyway, so what it comes down to is that the bigger companies, they just can't. They can't bring these, huge changes to the hobby that we want to see and that we need to see. And it's not because they don't want to. It's because they just don't have the ability to do so because their role in the hobby is to bring in the beginners. Their role in the hobby is to bring in the beginners and to outfit them with, the supplies and the equipment that they need to succeed so that they can get through that part. Maybe some of a little bit like intermediaries too, but like get them through and then get them to the next level so that they can be handed off to another place that can get them to that next step.
Right.
If you were, training with just like very similar with teaching, elementary school, they're only there through K through 5. And then it is like the next step,
right?
Somebody else. That's just how it works. We're that next step. And the fact that we've always waited for other companies to do so, that's what's killed our industry a little bit. Was we were always waiting and it just didn't have an opportunity to like kick it into gear. And finally, Ryan and I were like, well, you know what? In for a penny, in for a pound. And we high-fived and we decided that we were going to take that leap and start that change in herpetoculture and provide that next level. And there's next level in caging, but not this.
Well, let's be honest. Most reptile corporations, manufacturers, their primary goal is financial advancement. Mm-hmm. So they want the newest, the shiniest. It's not necessarily, most of them don't have knowledge or experience with reptiles. They don't have a passion for reptiles. And some of the companies work in conservation and some don't. But none that I know of are contributing as significantly as you guys plan to. So to me, right there, that tells me, first of all, you guys, your whole company is green. You're supporting women in power. And I'm sorry, I'm a feminist. I believe in rights for everyone. I believe that men and women should all be informed and empowered, but women have been at a disadvantage. You can argue with me, but those are the historical facts. So I'm not like spouting my political agenda or my opinion. I'm just stating a fact. And women have a lot to offer, a lot to contribute. That's honestly why we started our channel. It was JD and I, and he said, you need to be the face. There's not a single woman out there on YouTube. If there was a woman working with reptiles, we couldn't find her. And there was no females working with invertebrates at all, which was our first focus of our channel, because by the time we got involved in YouTube in about 2013, there already were a few pretty strong reptiles circulating and more information getting out there, that if someone acquired an animal or had an interest, they could probably find something. Hopefully it was decent. But there were 2 tarantula channels, and neither of them were necessarily educational. One of the guys is my friend. He's still going. The other one's not my friend, and he crashed and burned a long time ago. But they were showing their animals, they were talking about their animals, but they weren't like, this is an X, Y, and Z, this is where it's from, this is how you keep it, and I'm even going to show you how to breed it, because I want these animals to reproduce in captivity so they don't go extinct. Because it was the trend, keep your secrets. If you know a secret, don't share it. Keep it for yourself. But that doesn't help the animals, and it doesn't help the community grow. And I love the mindset that you guys are coming from, where it's about the community, it's about the animals, it's about the planet. That's just awesome.
Yeah, that's the gatekeeping is not going to freak out. I freaked out on MJ's podcast, and I'm not going to do it on this one. I promised I wasn't going to do it. I have Emily over here who's like, do it. Burn it down. Everyone wants to know. Not going to do it again. But no, gatekeeping of information drives me up. How much am I allowed to swear?
Do it.
It drives me up a fucking wall. It just legitimately up a fucking wall. There's no reason for it. And it's not exclusive. So every time people talk about gatekeeping, they always talk about, you say gatekeeping, and the first thing that comes to mind is some guy standing over somebody like this saying, I'm not telling you. And it's always like this pose, and it's always a man. Every time. Like, that's the first thing people think of. And even men think about this. I'm not hating everybody. And before y'all freak out, hold on. So, like, that is the first thing everybody thinks of. That is bullshit. It's not just men. It's also women. Like, we are fucking ourselves over too, which is also bullshit. Because, like, it'd be like me coming to you and being like, oh my God, I love what you do. Ryan and I really want to try and do something like this for our VivTech thing so that we can talk about like UVB more. And obviously that's like not a competition thing. Like, we're not being like, we want to be like DTG2. Like, exactly like you, but 2. Like, we're not doing that. It's obviously different. And you being like, nope, up yours. Not helping you at all.
Figuring out. Yeah.
Right? Or like talking to our friend like Dave and being like, hey, like, can you help us like with some of this? I don't understand how to edit this. And then being like, no, you're SOL. I'm not going to help you because you might take like 2 views from me.
Right.
He would never do that to us because you don't do that kind of thing to people. It should always be open. And everybody always thinks of like this hostility that it's always like this weird random guy. And it's usually like a tattoo guy in their mind. And like, I'm pretty sure somebody always has like a picture of like that first person that said no to them or just like talked down to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always at a show almost. It was almost always at a show that this happened to them. And they just got, bam, shut down. But it also happens to women. And it's women just like they'll gatekeep themselves because they don't want that power taken away from them.
Right.
And part of, my mission with VivTech and what I'm so passionate about is Ryan is really big on the innovation side. And it's not that he's not big on this, but he's really onto our innovations and all that stuff. My thing is using this as a platform to get that information out there, break through a lot of the gatekeeping, but also really formulate that community of like, hey, it is okay. You want to know the UVB? Great. Here's this reference guide. We'll give it to you so that you can hand it out as a breeder. You can now be that hero. You don't even have our stuff on it. We'll give it to you so you can hand it out. We'll give it to the pet store so they can freaking hand it out. We want you guys to be the hero of the day with this stuff. Like, we want to empower everybody with this information. And it's hard when I'm watching so much infighting, especially amongst, it's really hard, especially with like women where you're like, hey, I'm like a woman-owned, company. And they're like, are you though? Are you? And you're like, if you have to ask that, then you're already a dick. And like, what's your problem? Like, you can't, like, there's not a lot of continuity. I've had more problems with that lately both of us had actually of like women questioning it than men. Like, we've had more people come up and be like, high five. And then other people going, really? Like, how much? What are you doing? Like
you're just the face or something?
Yeah, because it's a gatekeeping thing of, well,
Did you really earn it?
Yeah, I'm a woman-owned thing. And I'm like, I don't know what I need to do to prove it. Like, do you want me to lift my skirt and shirt? Like, what do you want from me? Like,
yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Right, Emily.
Yes, please.
My peanut gallery over here.
I can't. Oh, yeah. There. Yeah. So it's unfortunate because it boils down to adults that are children that have an unstable, imbalanced ego that are on that power trip. But what people fail to realize until they grow and get a little more balanced and more confident is that you're gaining power by mentoring people and growing the whole industry. That empowers you more to freaking, okay. I have literally met people that I have, or am still friends, relatives. I feel like they're family with people that were babies in the industry that I brought in or grew up in the industry. And now they're doing awesome things. That makes me like all the animals that they produce. Like, I had something to do with that. Not to like sound egotistical, but I'm just saying, like, in the greater scheme of things. Now, if everyone started doing that instead of trying to hang on to that one little gristly piece of meat that you have, like, share your gristle, like, just share it, share it with the guy that doesn't have anything yet.
Yep.
And people are just so intimidated by women, especially.
Yep.
And
thing with it.
You're like a young hot woman too. That's way scarier.
Damn right she is.
Yeah.
Then where's my Sunday?
I will go get you a Sunday.
I'm getting a Sunday.
Yeah. You owe me ice cream, Ryan.
She would like one too.
Next time.
He says next time.
Okay. So, when are you coming to my house so we can play?
We're gonna be at Arlington
When?
Arlington is.
Okay. You know, I live pretty far from Arlington, but you can come home with me anyway.
Yeah, that's
I really
fine.
want you to. I've invited Ryan and he said you guys are coming, so you have to. Not
Yeah.
because he said, because I said.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. But
Yay!
for women in the industry, like I have seen so many incredible women that are coming up in the industry and then lose their nerve or lose their voice because they don't think they have one. And that's just, it's not the case at all. And oh my God, the amount of knowledge that is like trapped in so many women is ridiculous. And this is the other thing that drives me nuts. Unless you're like, you know, hanging out with your boobs out, it seems like you can't possibly get enough like Instagram like information out there or Facebook information out there. Like you actually need like clickbait almost. Like I'm hot. Click on me. And
It's
now
like,
look at the reptiles. Like you need
what?
clickbait.
It's like a woman, what she has to say has no value unless she's also fun to look at the same time. I've struggled with that a lot because,
well, you're fun to look at, so that's not really going to help the case. So,
well, I mean, I've struggled with that a lot because I get a lot of backlash. I mean, people literally call me a whore. I'm like, just because I'm a woman. Okay. Well, who do you know that I've paid to have sex with? Because that's never happened to my knowledge. People are deeply offended by the fact that I don't hide my femininity. I should be so ashamed. I should definitely burn in hell. And I mean, a lot of really weird, like I could go into it. I won't. Really weird stuff. But let's be honest. If I were a 600-pound toad with no front teeth, do you really? And my channel's still small. It's very small in the scheme of things. But I don't know that I would have ever gotten more than a couple hundred or a couple thousand subscribers if people weren't first like, okay, who's that? And then I say like, and then some people will really comment and say, oh, I only watch your content so I can see, you know, whatever. And I'm like, and you're learning, like, surely you're learning. But
like, please say you're learning while you're fapping. That's all I care about.
Oh yeah, I learned what that word meant. I shouldn't have looked that up, and I did. So,
ooh, educational fapping. I'm gonna make you a new shirt.
There we go. Yes. It's the world that we're in, but thanks to amazing people like you and people like Ryan for obviously being an amazing counterpart, things are changing. Women have more to offer than people have realized, and that's becoming more apparent every day.
I say either do away with all the clickbait before you actually listen to me post, or y'all better start like really putting out with the clickbait. And I want to see some like, you know, like come gutter, you know, level like clickbait posts coming out from some boys here before I start.
Let's do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like tit for tat here. If you know, women can only be like there's there's a biologist out in Florida. There's like a whole group of them, and they're like they're just like smoking hot, like legit. And then like the knowledge bombs they drop is incredible.
That's way hotter,
right? And you're just like, the ones who were posting, and I'm not hating on selfies or like photos or anything like that. The ones who are posting, like, hey, like, this is me. I'm just like out and like looking great. Had more responses on the educational material than the ones who were just, posting like, hey, this is me, I'm out. But they were in like a full shirt or something like that. And then we're also posting the educational material. I was like, what the crap? Like,
oh, yeah.
Really? So I'm like, I want to see men doing this, but I want to see some like, like let's see some clickbait stuff, like open shirts or like, come on, like step it up. If I have to step this up, like y'all need to step it up too.
Seriously. Well, and it's really funny because I have asked every man that I've ever interviewed, and I've interviewed, I mean, pretty much everyone important that I can think of. I will say there are a few old timers that I've not been able to wrangle down yet, for one reason or another, because they're my favorite. Another goal of our channel was to record some of the history of hepatic culture in the US and internationally. Speaking of old timers, I meant to say this, but I came on 2 minutes late. I do apologize for that, guys. This whole episode is dedicated to Barney Tomberlin, who I don't know if anybody listening knows who that is. He passed away. He was one of the old timers, one of the good ones, one of the original importers. Oh, this man. I mean, it was so amazing to listen to his stories. We would say, hey, tell us about the time that you first imported, I don't know, like some obscure. So I had to speak English. And so I'm trying to talk each other, and then he said to come, and they gave a date, and so I flew there and landed in the middle of their tribal village, and everyone was naked, and he immediately was like at the stake, like had to get naked, and they had this whole festival, and he had to like eat all this crazy stuff, and it went on for like 3 days, and he was like, hey, you know those iguanas? And they were like, oh, they're in the trees, they're up in the trees. And he was like, oh great, well, guess who gets to go climb the trees naked and go get them? It was wild. I mean, it was amazing. It was so amazing. We begged and begged Barney to please let us interview him for years, and he was just, I'm not sure why. There were animals that had become illegal that he had imported that were legal.
Right.
He always was totally, I know he was a little afraid of possible legal ramifications. Anyway, this winter, he finally agreed to let us interview him. He said this spring, and he passed away. So JD and I talked and said, oh, this is going to be Barney's episode. So love to Barney, anyone who ever knew him. So he owned Hitari Invertebrates, and then he sold it and it became Invertebrates of America. Love that guy. Sorry, not to like, it's my peeve when people invite a guest and then talk about themselves, but that was for Barney.
No, that was incredibly lovely. And I was just thinking, I'm like, I'm completely okay with any episode I ever do being dedicated to somebody who's like, all right, one in room,
forefather,
off, let's go. Like,
yeah. Yes, he was very sunburned and very had various injuries upon his scary flight home. So what I was saying was, every man I've interviewed, and so this includes Billy Rose, Brian Barczyk, Jay Brewer, Dave Kaufman, Brian Cusco, Garrett Hartle. I mean, all the big guys that I know of. I always like to ask them, how much sexual harassment do you get? And they laugh. And I wait for their answer, and they say, well, I mean, I don't, they say people compliment me, but, or like say like, oh, I'd love to come visit you. I'm like, yeah, that's not show me your tits. That's a little different. That's a different vibe. They all say none. They all say none. And I said, how often do people ask you or criticize you about your appearance? And they all say never. And I mean, they're all reasonably handsome men, but people either, I would say, at least 30 to 40% of my feedback I get from my audience is based on my appearance or my voice or basically whether I'm attractive or unattractive. And they either say, oh, you're so fucking hot, blah, blah, blah. Or they say, you're fat or you're Chinese or you're, either that I'm ugly or that I'm pretty, but it's not, you own all those animals. That's amazing. And some people do say that, but it is so much people watching to see what color nail polish I'm wearing. And, or if I'm not. Oh my, I just posted a picture of me holding an Emidura subglobosa and like my manicure is not fresh. And I do real stuff and I have real fingernails.
What?
Oh, a cute little turtle. Pink belly, side neck. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so I'm
on.
showing the belly and I posted it on social media and I said, feeling cute, gonna show my belly today. And it's, it's like the little, yeah. And people were like, oh, but your nails, like girl. And I was like, do you know what these hands do every day? They do important things. They don't just look pretty. Like they also catch crocodiles and they wrestle mastiffs and cobras and they do lots of stuff. They shovel a lot of poop. They catch tarantulas. They go rock climbing and hiking so I can get that fucking Alterna that just crawled into that tiny little hole. And I don't care that much that if I have a picture of a really cute turtle and my nails aren't looking perfect, I'm just going to post it. And if that bothers you, then please move along because there's thousands of people waiting because like on Facebook, there's a limit of how many people you can accept. And people can't even friend request me anymore because you can only have 1,000 people on your waiting list. And I'm like, just go away. Or people will message and say, hey, I love your content, but would you please stop posting snakes? They scare me. No, please, though, unfriend me, unfollow me. Like, this is my business. This is my livelihood. And furthermore, this is my passion. Anyway.
No,
sorry about that. I went a little.
So, like, that actually brings, like, that's actually a perfect segue in, believe it or not.
Okay.
So, like, one of my passions that, like, and this is, like, a big pet peeve of mine. One of my big passions is, supporting my family. And it is supporting my husband. And it's not because he's my husband and I need to support him and be like all the things to him. Please let me lick your boot for you. Like, no.
Right.
Like, no. But, and not king shaming if that's your kink, y'all. Like, just throwing it out there. But it is, I wanted to support him. Like, his dream for the longest time is he's always known he was meant to be something bigger. Like, he's always known that he was meant to do something bigger, do something more for reptiles in his life with his degrees. Just, he was meant for more. And he couldn't. Like, he felt trapped, he felt stuck, he didn't know what to do. And he just knew he was meant for more. And I find, my passion was finding a way to support like my family and to support him. And because I finally found somebody that I really truly wanted to support and put my backing into the way he puts his backing into me.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, like, you support me 110%. I can do the same for you. I'm like, I'm going to turn you into a house husband. And it's not like he's bonbons. He's like, it's like, yeah. I wanted to give him freedom. And that was something that, like, women don't do. Women never give their, like, just have never historically been able to give their husbands freedom. It's always been the man's job or the man's role to make the money, do this, do that, be the provider. I'm the provider now. I'm the provider for our household. I provide the insurance. I provide that. It is all on me financially to take care of our home. I was able to give Ryan I was able to take a new role on so that I could do that. And it is a lot more stress for me to do that right now because, by the way, folks, don't transition into a new job when you're launching a company. Horrible idea.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Don't do that. Oh dear God. But it allowed me to give Ryan a financial freedom and just to give him freedom of time and to give him freedom to choose to become a contractor for Zillow rather than having to have a full-blown job with them. So he was able to leave and become a contractor with them. He was able to create this company with, me. And that's why we did it this way. And like, that was like one of my big empowering things. But like, I told somebody that I'm like, yeah, like I did this for Ryan. And somebody was like, oh, it was because you needed like, it's his like company and you're just a name on it. I'm like, no, it's our company. And he put like, I'm the one that owns it because this was his way of showing me like, you sacrificed this for me. Like, this is my dream and this is like my way of sharing it with you. So like, this is how we were able to share with each other.
Right. Well, not to mention you contribute a lot to the company. It's not like your name just got put on it. And you're essentially, it's almost like you're employing him at this point because you're providing for his necessities so he can have the freedom. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on outside, but it's very barky and I apologize. Quit.
The more lads are coming to the door like, hello?
Yes. Go away if you want to bark. Go investigate. Away. Somebody bringing ice cream?
Oh, that's what that is. It's a duck. I keep hearing a buzzing sound. Sorry.
So, Ryan was an engineer at the Zillow lab, correct?
He was
and and their brand manager. So he was. I'm not sure where all my people are that are supposed to be quieting dogs. I think they're outside moving cages, actually. I actually hurt my shoulder. I'm supposed to be in a sling right now, but I didn't want to look gimpy on camera just because it doesn't look fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm just holding my arm up. But okay, let me kick them out. 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
Tell us about Ryan's new role with Zillow really quick.
Oh, no worries. So, So Ryan used to be the brand manager for Zillow, and now he is actually a contractor for Zillow. So he is contracting with them. It is a position that he took in December? January 1st. And I know my times. January 1st. And it was actually one of those where it was a really empowering move for him because of that that freedom of finances that we had talked about a little bit earlier, that he was able to do it. And he decided that he was going to bet on himself and, just went that way. And he went up to his boss and was like, we're going to do the contract situation. And they're on great terms. Like, it wasn't quitting. It wasn't like anything like that. They're on great terms. They have a great relationship. Like, he loves Zillow. He still supports them and everything like that. His boss is wonderful and supports him. It's, just that it was time for him to grow and blossom. And Brian's like, you know what? This is the best time to do it. So he did. Like, I wish there was like a really nice, big, dramatic, like, story that went with it. That was like,
no, this is so much better. No drama.
Really boring. It's
like he's just transitioning to a different role in the company that gave him a lot more freedom to strike out on his own. And when you work as a brand manager for a company, you're there to provide ideas or feedback and to communicate with the public. But that doesn't mean, even if you're brilliant, even if have great ideas, that they're necessarily going to follow it or do it. And so to me, this is a perfect solution because obviously you guys have a lot of amazing ideas and answers, and why not be putting those out into the world? And one of my favorite quotes is, and I can't think of it exactly, but basically it says, be the change that you want to see. I don't know if that's it exactly.
Oh, it's from Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes, there we go.
Yep.
English teacher, you'd think, yeah. That's, just kind of like something that I think everyone should live by. A lot of people complain or they say, oh, well, things would be better if, well, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you do it? Especially if you have the insight to actually, don't just, like, if you have a problem, think of the solution and then try to think of what steps. And I mean, you guys are doing it. So, wow.
We're hoping to just kick ass and
I'm
take
amazed.
the culture world by storm. That's what we're hoping for.
Okay, I've already held you hostage for 2 hours. Can you believe that?
No, actually,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So I have to know about your tattoos, and I'm going to sound like a total ignoramus. Is that a blue morpho butterfly on your necklace?
Huh? Oh my god, this is whatever the hell Mike Clarkson put into an auction at one point, and then Ryan bought.
There we go. It's blue.
So
I love it. Tell me about your tattoos because they are stunning. You're so beautiful, by the way. Kind of girl crushing here.
Super hot.
Yeah.
He's trying to get laid. So I have.
Is it working?
Oh yeah.
Good boy, Ryan.
My Friends of Scales tattoo,
I
and
love
then
it.
I have a. Everybody has to have a butterfly.
Yeah.
Can't help it. Sorry. Actually, my very first tattoo was this one. So, ready for the perfect cliche? It is the red ear slider for the Western version of the creation theory, which is Turtle Island, and then the Eastern theory of creation, which was Om, which was the sound that brought creation into being. So I was like, I'm hip and trendy.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that it still looks good. Although, because the colors are still so bright, I'm also super concerned that they're like super toxic. And that like my lymph nodes are probably now this color.
It's beautiful.
Right? And then I have a veterinary medicine symbol that has an Amazon tree boa on it. And then this is
are those Dendrobates Azurius?
Yes. So I won this for $1. No, it's $2. At the what was this? What auction was this?
2015 Midwest Herb Symposium.
The 2015 Midwest Herb Symposium.
Holy moly! Who did the artwork?
Richie Bratz actually did.
And
then my grandma's handwriting. It says "Love you the one." And then on here, which are my I have me and Ryan both have matching isopods. So I have the female, he has the male. And then these are our broad snouts.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Okay, who did that artwork?
This is from Alex Winthrop. She is currently at, oh God, what is the new one called?
A. Winthrop Art. Look up A. Winthrop.
Yeah, you'll have to look up A. Winthrop Art.
Okay.
I cannot remember what studio she's out of. She just moved. Damn it. And then we're finishing up the African Dwarf crack, which is Sobek. So we're gonna have a nice little sleeve with all of our cracks on there.
Wow.
Yep. So
I'm very picky about ink, and you've got some beautiful artwork. Nice canvas too, but I mean, wow. So yeah. Who's your favorite tattooist?
Definitely Alex. I love Alex. Like she's like hands down, like she does amazing work, and You know,
Yeah.
the first couple times we sat down, I did a session with her. Like, she likes to do things in like a tiny little area and like really dig into that detail. I'm like, you're killing me. And then finally, like, we talked, and now she does like broader areas and then moves around so that I'm not dying and screaming. Because like the first time I sat for like 45 minutes, like, I'm done. And then the next time I sat for 3.5 hours without a problem. So
Wow.
I need to spread out.
Well, it's so funny because yeah, no, I think just when you like grate and grate and grate on the nerve, it kind of like amplifies the pain. But if you give that area to a rest for a few minutes, I don't know, it makes it better. So
Oh yeah.
maybe you taught her something there.
No, that's just how mine is. So like Ryan, you can do like the same area like 8,000 times and he doesn't care.
He has troll skin.
He does, dude. He heals like freaking Wolverine. Like he all of a sudden, like he'll go through like the little itchy phase and then like go poof, like a like bull python, and like just sheds off, and then he's
Oh my
done.
gosh.
Like he's healed in like 4 or 5 days, and like ready for tattooing. Like you can tattoo him again in like 7 days.
Wow. So
Bullshit.
your color looks amazing. So what do you do for your aftercare treatment?
I use Heps. So for the aftercare, I actually use
CeraVe.
no, it's the
Gel.
armor gel the first couple of days while it's still a fresh wound, and then
Right.
CeraVe, the CeraVe lotion.
The gel.
It's
It's like a petroleum gel.
he won't stop talking, but it's that stuff on it because CeraVe only comes in one form. So that, and then to keep the color after that fact, it's Hemp's, the Hemp's lotion. So that's what I do for like just main skincare is just Hemp's, and it like really keeps the skin nice because it's the age defying one, and it just keeps the color nice.
Wow. Awesome.
Cheap, just saying.
There we go. Okay. What species is your dream species to work with?
Ooh, damn, dream species to work with.
Yeah, like no holds barred.
Oh,
Anything.
damn, it's gonna be a Cutis,
Oh,
right?
you're amazing.
I know, and they're not even like a super sexy croc. They're not like a
Hey.
super sexy reptile. But I don't
think
know
they
why.
are.
I just have a soft spot for a Cutis. I don't freaking know why. They're just. I like American crocs. I don't know why.
They're amazing. I mean, okay, you're going to look at a crocodile and say that's not amazing?
Yeah, I
So-
don't know why. They're not even. They're just like a brown log, but they're just something
They're
about
cute
them.
though.
Yeah, a Cutis.
Okay. Ears.
Huh? It froze. Renew.
Hours was the limit. Are you there?
I am.
Yay. Okay, one more and then I'll let you go.
It froze again.
See VivTech in 5 years.
Where are we going to be in VivTech in 5 years? In 5 years, I am hoping that we are arguing over the next expansion, right? When we can do that. And then we are at the point where we can take like a month-long vacation actually together and just be like, bye.
Where would you go?
Oh, we have so many places we want to go, but the first place that I would want to go is honestly probably Lesser Sunda, so that he could see a Timor python in the wild.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, like I can go anywhere and I'll be happy because like
Yeah.
I love doing the naturalist thing. So like I'll go herping, I'll do the naturalist thing, like I'll look at birds, rocks, all that crap. Like I'm a happy camper. He wants to see Reptile so badly, and he so badly wants to catch like a Timor python in like the wild. And like that would be the bee's knees for him. I just know it would be. But like in 10 years, no, 15 or 20 years, I'm hoping our daughter Naomi keeps her word and does grow her own business. That, you know, buys us out. She told us, because I asked her, I'm like, are you gonna, you know, grow up with us and, take over the business someday? She goes, no. I'm like, oh, you don't want to take over the business? That's fine. She goes, no, I'm going to create my own business with plants. I'm like, okay. Because like she doesn't like reptiles all that much. She likes plants.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's fine. She goes, I'm going to bake it with plants. And then I'm going to destroy you. I'm like, oh.
There we go. Okay. Well,
Who taught you about hostile takeovers? Like,
that's motivation right there. Okay.
I'm like so proud of her. And I just want to be like, oh my God, you psychopath. And, I'm so proud. Like, I'm conflicted. So
that is awesome. Well, I can't say enough how amazing you are. Of course, I love Ryan. Everybody knows that. But you, lady, this has been a treat.
I don't suck.
Not at all. Well, I mean, I think you're fantastic. How about that?
I was gonna say the look Ryan just gave me will tell you different, but
I actually saw that from over here. Somehow, like I was envisioning that. I was like, well, I mean, I don't, but yes, and your friends in the background, I think, are fantastic. And my only problem with this whole episode was I didn't see any ice cream. So what's up with that? Why are you waiting?
Yeah, he just walked in not that long ago. He's like, here. I'm like,
oh, I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for donating your evening to me. Please. Okay. Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Are these products on the market yet? And how can people access them?
Oh, good point. We should probably talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
I was just happy gabbing with you. So we are going to be on the market once we get to Schaumburg.
Okay.
That is going to be the first day that is actually available is Saturday at Schaumburg. Even the people who are helping us like pack these things up aren't getting the products beforehand, mainly because we want them to test the products. Like they don't know which ones they're getting because they don't. That's how you know they're going to put their quality testing into it.
Right.
But also we want to make sure we have stock. So they will be available on Saturday and Sunday. And then on Saturday, our website goes live and it is VivTechProducts.com. And then on Monday, our website will be available for purchasing. So if there's anything left, otherwise it's going to be a pre-order.
So on the episode, I actually called it VivTech Reptile Husbandry, just so people would know, like, oh, this is reptile related. Mm-hmm. I apologize if that's not exactly the name of your company. I just didn't want people to think like, oh, she went off track with, like, she's doing, I don't know, something else. I wanted everyone to know, like, yes, this is reptile related. But probably everyone knows who you are, and so surely they're going to listen. But
I don't think they know who my husband is, if not, so it'll be fine. They'll see the name McVeigh and be like, oh, there you go. Yeah.
Name dropping. So all the links to everything that they're doing is going to be in the description box as soon as I get them. And then so are you guys available? Like if people have questions about your products, like how can, or do you allow people to contact you?
Smoke signals and courier pigeons are currently our preferred route.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are no longer using smoke signals because they're antiquated, I understand. We also are available via Instagram at VivTech Products, Facebook at VivTech Products. And I promise that Ryan does not answer those messages for the most part because he does not use emojis and he can be a little diva snappy sometimes. So I'll answer those. For the most part, and you'll see Erica on there, so you'll know. But you can also find us on our website. It'll actually have the information on there as well.
Okay.
And that's usually the easiest. Or you can even contact us on our personal Facebook or Instagrams as well.
Cool.
We're very easy to find.
I heard that you're thinking of maybe launching a YouTube channel, so definitely
down the road.
Let me know.
Mentor, which is this way because the mirroring almost, it's been 2 hours. I still can't remember.
It's like teaching jazzercise. You're like, right side, right side. Yeah.
Imagine I'm really bad at the cha-cha slide because of the left versus right.
All right. Well, I adore you. I'm going to let you go so your ice cream doesn't melt. I love you, Ryan, and whoever else is there. I think you're awesome too. And all your yappy dogs. You also have children too, right?
Yep, 3.
Oh my goodness. How old?
2 7-year-olds and a 9-year-old.
Whew, I remember those days. We had this many under our roof at one time.
Oh God.
And now they're all grown up. So
Lucky.
thank the Lord.
Oh, shut up. You're savoring it. You almost cried when Naomi got to the point. Naomi's at the point now where she's too old and cool for daddy to give her kisses.
Yeah.
So he sometimes gets a forehead kiss. Like he can sometimes sneak a forehead kiss. I still get to give kisses, but
your mommy.
Yeah, he can sometimes sneak a forehead kiss.
Oh, I love it.
Crushed, but
He's a tough guy. Got it. Okay, well, stay fit, stay strong, stay awesome, and let's keep in touch. This was really super duper fun.
No,
Come to Chicago.
I have summer school. You guys are just gonna have to like teleport me there with your minds, and I'll see you at Arlington.
There you go.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. And then come to my house. I'm going to kidnap you guys. Yay. All right. Love you guys. Be safe.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone who was watching. Everyone be well out there, and we'll see you guys soon.